Tilly into the Kane zone. He'll make a move, and Bussey makes the save. And Carolina gets a little help on the back check there by Will Carrier, but Svechnikov darts behind the net, gets it to Jarvis and scores! The hustle of Andrei Svechnikov, and Seth Jarvis gets to the open area and slips it past Greaves, and Carolina has tied it at 1. Fabro, he'll give it away at the Kings blue line, and Hall is going to get to it. He in the Blue Jacket zone across for Robinson. He scores! What a setup! Taylor Hall and Eric Robinson against his former team has put the Canes in the lead. It's 2-1.
Hey, it's Adam Gold here on the Canes Corner podcast. Don't you know? Hope all is well in your world. Hurricanes beat the Columbus Blue Jackets by a 4-1 score here at Lenovo Center. Big game for Carolina tonight. I know it doesn't seem like a big game because Columbus was 8th place in the Metropolitan Division, but consider all the things that Carolina was dealing with. You have a long 7-game homestand against several teams that you would think are not, playoff or, top of the line teams. Calgary, you win 1-0 in overtime. You've got Nashville, you cruise there. You don't beat San Jose. In fact, you look terrible against San Jose. And you've got this game against the 8th place team in the division, the Columbus Blue Jackets. And for most of the first 30 minutes, you're a snooze fest. This was a big game today. And you got the Cup champs in the building. So the way Carolina played the last 30 minutes, that's top-level stuff. They needed it. They needed the win. They needed to feel good about what they were doing. And not that they lack for confidence, because I don't think they ever do. But halfway through this game, it did not look like this was going to turn out the way they wanted it to. And then my first star of the game really flipped the switch. And we will talk about him and the whole game coming up. We're brought to you by the Aluminum Company of North Carolina, if it is for the exterior of your home. You can find it at the Aluminum Company of North Carolina on Hamlin Road in Durham. No place like it. Sammy Hannon is going to do a great job. You should check them out for all of your exterior home improvement needs. So it really was a 2-game situation here. First 30 minutes, Columbus was better. And at one point, and I don't know exactly where it flipped in terms of the shots, but Carolina had a 9-6 edge on shots in the first period. But in the first 6 or 7 minutes of the period, I looked at the shot table, and the Blue Jackets were, I think, ahead 14-12. So 8-3 early in the period. Couple of really good chances to score. Brandon Bussey doing his thing. And then my first star, Andrei Svechnikov, turned the game around. Carolina had opportunities to score. It's funny. I actually made I was making a list of things that should have been goals in the game. I mean, Jackson Blake should have scored. I was writing them down. Blake, Jankowski. These are 2 absolute point-blank opportunities that just weren't goals. Svechnikov was in the dead slot and went over the crossbar. This is after maybe 2 minutes earlier on the wing having a great chance and firing it over the crossbar. Then Jankowski had another one. He had a 2-on-1 where he just kind of fumbled the puck and didn't even get a shot off. Seth Jarvis, after he had tied the game, had a great chance from a sharp angle, but, I mean, he should have scored. Shot it right into Jet Graves' glove. Jalen Chatfield he had the puck on his stick after a great Shane Gostisbehere pass, and Chatfield mishit it so badly, it looked like he was trying to pass it back to Gostisbehere in the corner. It's a great pass. Should have been a goal. Not. Carolina had so many chances to score in the first in the second period, and that one Blake chance in the first, and just couldn't figure it out. Couldn't figure out how to do it. Was like a baby deer. But the Jarvis goal that made it 1-1 changed everything. Even though there were opportunities to score after that Carolina didn't connect on. But the game, the momentum of the game, Andrei Svechnikov completely changed it. The play started in the left corner of the offensive zone. So puck's in there, and Andrei just goes and gets it. Now, he didn't have it. He took it. And that's, of all of Andrei Svechnikov's best skills, his ability to retrieve pucks, to win wall battles, board battles, that to me is his best skill. And that skill turned the game around, because when he took the puck and he circled behind the net, his first thought was, let me see if I can stuff it in. Jet Graves wasn't having any of that today. And Andrei just said, you know what? Let me be patient. And he sort of then kind of fans out. And he finds Seth Jarvis in the high slot. And Jarvis went low, not intentionally. He went, glove side low. Basically slid it along the ice. And it got in between the left pad and the goalpost. Sebastian Aho in front. Seth Jarvis crediting Seabass with creating the havoc in front of the net. Net front presence works, people. That made it 1-1, and from that point on, it was one-way traffic Carolina's way. Again, there was a time in the second period where the shot chart said 14-12 in favor of Columbus. At one point I looked up, it was 22. I think 21 or 22-14. That's how dominant Carolina was for the last 10 minutes of the second period. And really, other than a 2-minute power play, which really wasn't a great one for Columbus, great penalty kill. Other than that 2-minute period, Carolina was all over this game the last 30 minutes. And Andrei Svechnikov deserves a ton of the credit for this. What's funny is that Andrei wasn't great the first period. He just wasn't. The top line as a group wasn't great the first period. And then they got it going. And I give Andrei full credit for that. Absolute full credit. There are a couple of years ago, this is a better way to say it. A couple of years ago, Andrei had a good year. Not a great year, but a good year. I don't know that Andrei's had a great year yet, right? He might have been having a great year when he tore his ACL. I'm trying to remember back there, but 2 years ago, he was having a really good year. But it wasn't necessarily translating for him on the score sheet. But you know how the head coach looks at these things. Are you creating chances? Are you playing the way we want you to play? Are you impacting the game in other ways? And Andrei, through his physicality, his puck retrieval, sometimes his playmaking, was managing to impact the game in a positive way in spite of the fact that he went like 17 or 18 games without a goal. And I kept talking to the head coach. I talk to the head coach basically before every game, sometimes more. And he said, I got no problem with the way he's playing. Let him keep doing this. He is helping us win, even though he is not necessarily always on the score sheet. Last year, we really didn't have that until the playoffs. And then everybody disappeared against Florida, but we didn't have it until the playoffs. And then Andrei, just the light bulb turned on. And that's the Andrei that we need to see. He doesn't always have to score, but he's always got to play an aggressive, physical. Love to see him stay out of the penalty box, and he did tonight. And what we saw for the last 30 minutes, yes, more of that, Andrei. because that makes Carolina better. He was great. My first star. And I say this knowing that the captain was great. We're going to talk about him in a little bit. But let's now talk about, I think, one of the truly great stories.
Now Fantilli into the Kane zone. He'll make a move, and Bussey makes the save. And Carolina gets a little help on the back check there by Will Carrier, but Bussey with the first shot on goal. A serious one by Fantilli. Now Fantilli's down on the ice. 7 minutes gone by in the period. 7 seconds left in the kill. And Carolina chips this one out of the zone again. Now Coyle with it. He'll get it across, and the shot hammered by Johnson, and a save by Bussey. That's his best of the night. Marchenko will get this one out. He'll flip it hard off the boards. Fantilli goes after it, and Bussey tested. Fantilli on the rebound, cranks it off the post. Now here's a chance. Bussey makes the save as Svechnikov broke free. Monahan 2-on-1 coming, pulled across. Bussey makes the save on Sillinger. Fantilli, and Bussey makes the save. Dear Bussey, sprawling. Unreal save. And that was Werenski who comes in. The defenseman. Massive save to keep it a 2-goal lead. Zach Werenski. He will work his way in, and Bussey, another save. As he went down into the butterfly to stop that one.
This guy just loves third periods.
Now Provorov with it. He'll snap a shot, and Bussey gives him no room. He'll hang on with the arm with 5:22 left here in the third.
Brandon Bussey does it again. That might have been excessive with the with the Brandon Bussey highlights, but he does it again. 9-1, 10 starts in the NHL. And I think it's worth at least, throwing out there, as my old friend Larry King would say. Yeah, that Larry King. Grist for the local mill. On Thursday, when the Hurricanes play the Capitals in D.C., 1 point out of the division lead, do you go to Bussey to start the game? As I said today during the day job, as I said in the pregame show with Tripp, tonight's start doesn't tell us anything in terms of what the head coach's plans are. Thursday is going to tell us a lot. Thursday is going to tell us, and he's got 3 options. And I'm telling you, I won't be surprised no matter what the head coach chooses. Nothing will surprise me because I think you can make arguments all 3 ways. And hold on before you lose your mind. If it was me, I need to win that game on Thursday. And if I need to win that game on Thursday, I am going to Brandon Bussey. Through how we played, today was the 29th game. Through 29 games, nobody has played more consistently well than Bussey. I need a good performance out of my goaltender. Number 32 is going to go for me. But here's what you're saying if you are sending Brandon Bussey out there. He would be now in the last 3 weeks, 2 weeks, you have handed him the keys to the car twice in a row, twice in the last 2 weeks. I'm here for that. I am 100% here for that. But I just want everybody to know that if you do that, you have made a decision. You have declared Brandon Bussey your number 1 goalie. And again, I'm not against it. Because 10 games, with Bussey, it's a small sample size. Because these are the first 10 games in his NHL career. Freddie, who has played 14 games, that is not a small sample size. Because we have seen Freddie's entire career, And right now we are seeing, I think, with Anderson, somebody who just might be at the very end of the rope. It doesn't mean he can't be good. It just means that in 14 games this year, the best we've gotten from Anderson is 2 very good starts. But for the most part, mediocre to poor. In the other 12 starts, mediocre to poor. On top of the fact that he's 5-7-2. It is 14 starts. If you're going to Anderson, you are saying, Freddie, I'm giving you another shot. And I understand it if he does. I wouldn't do it, but I would get where the head coach is coming from. And he could also go to Pyotr Kochetkov. 5 starts, 2 great, 1 very good, which I thought he was against San Jose, and 2 poor. Let's not forget that starts 2 and 3 this year weren't any good. He won them both, but they really weren't very good. But he was great in his first start against the Rangers. He was great in the win over Boston. And I thought he was very good in the loss to San Jose. The other 2 starts, no good at all. So with that said, you can make the argument for any one of the 3 guys. Kochetkov is almost the middle ground. But here's what you're saying if it's Kochetkov. Because Freddie now has not played since when? I want to get it. Apologies to those of you at home. Because Bussey played against the Predators. It's the Toronto game. Freddie, that's the last time Freddie played. That's Thursday. If Freddie doesn't play on this Thursday, now we're saying it's going to be, because they have a Saturday, Sunday back-to-back, now you're saying that Freddie doesn't, it's going to be more than a week. Is Freddie going to play one of those games? Quite possibly. But what you're saying, if you don't start Anderson on Thursday, whether you start Bussey or Kochetkov, you're saying that Freddie Anderson right now is not part of your plans. That's the way I look at it. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. And maybe right now I'm just too giddy because Brandon Bussey is writing a story that only sports gives us. It truly is an incredible thing that Brandon Bussey has never played a game in the NHL until this year. Wasn't even part of the organization until after the preseason schedule was over. Carolina just covering their rear end in goal. They've known about Bussey. They liked him in the offseason. He signed with Florida. Carolina claimed him. They ain't ever given him up. They will not do it. At the very least, Brandon Bussey represents a backup. At the very least. But right now, he might represent their starter. And I'm sorry, that's just an incredible story. 27 years old, never played a game in the NHL before this year.
Now Gostisbehere at the right face-off circle. Down low, Svechnikov. He'll go low to high to Gostisbehere. The middle of the rink. Now Svechnikov, they score! Jordan Staal, the big man out front, gets another piece. His second power play goal. The wrinkle for Carolina is working. His 9th of the season, and the Canes take a 3-1 lead.
So Jordan Staal's on the power play now, and if I'm Rod Brindamore, I don't care how I came up with the idea. And I have a suggestion. I have a hint maybe how he did. I don't care how I came up with the idea. Whether I'd been thinking about it for a long time or this is just a roll of the dice, I don't care. I don't see how you take number 11 off the power play. And frankly, I wouldn't even be concerned about getting him off the ice after if you give up possession of the puck. I wouldn't. I'd leave him out there. I know Ron doesn't want to overtax Jordan Staal. He's too important to a lot of different situations. So you're probably not going to overuse him. But boy, getting power play goals like they did tonight, which gave them the 2-goal cushion. How do you not take advantage? The face-off acumen, the size of Staal. You don't have that size on your power play. The biggest player on Carolina's 2 power play units among the forwards is Taylor Hall. And is the only guy, I think, over 6 foot. No, Andre. But Andre really doesn't spend a lot of time in front of the net. Jarvis spends more time in front of the net than Andre does. And the big man can win you faceoffs, can get in front of the net, and he now has 2 deflection power play goals, and that is tied for second on the team in power play goals. Andre's got 4, Stahl's got 2. I think Jarvis has 2. Look, the Hurricanes don't have a lot of power play goals as a team, but Stahl's tied for second with 2 power play goals. He's been on the power play like 3 minutes. So, by the way, tonight in the faceoff circle, Stahl was 11 of 16. Sebastian Aho, 9 out of 14. Logan Stankoven, 6 out of 10. Canes dominated. I think they had about 60% of the faceoffs, maybe just under 60% against Columbus tonight. Canes also scored a power play goal in their 3rd straight game. They are now, I believe, 4 for their last 13. They give up a power play goal again. Somebody pointed out on Twitter, as it turns out, he wasn't like criticizing. He just like, are you going to mention that the Hurricanes penalty kill is no good right now? I'm like, are you pretending that I haven't been talking about that? We've been talking about this for a while now. Carolina's penalty kill is as poor as it has ever been under Rod Brind'Amour. At this point in the season, seriously, at this point in the season, this is the first time their penalty kill has been under 80% this late in the season. And again, tonight was game number, was it 29? 29th game tonight? Yeah. We're used to the penalty kill being anywhere from 83 to 88%. And they're at about 78% right now. Columbus was 1 out of 3. For some reason, NHL.com still has it 1 out of 2. I don't get it. But Columbus was 1 out of 3 on the power play tonight. Hurricanes are operating at about between 78 and 79% on the penalty kill. Carolina has had stretches of games where the PK has won them games. There are 0 of those this year. You think they miss Jacob Slavin now? Obviously, we knew they would miss Jacob Slavin because he's Jacob Slavin. We get it. But he's such an important part of the penalty kill. And for me, when you think about, I'll use a baseball analogy, when your pitching ace is missing, everybody's got to step up. Now your number 2 starter becomes your number 1, and your number 3, if you even have a number 3, becomes your number 2. It exposes you in other areas. And without Jacob Slavin, other people have to pick up that slack. Now, in the long run, this will be good for them because Carolina will be able to have guys who aren't like relied upon as much, but now have the experience of having been relied upon, whether it's Nikishin or Walker or Miller or Gostisbehere or Chatfield. It'll make it so much easier when Slavin comes back. And I'll bet that when Slavin comes back, the penalty kill will get better. Because right now, it is unreliable. They got moving all around. They got out of position. And Sean Monahan found Dmitry Voronkoff. I butchered his name. And it was an easy goal for 1-0. And I thought Carolina was kind of deflated after the goal, and they played like it the rest of the period and into the second. But the penalty kill, they need Jacob Slavin. There is no doubt about that. In the second period, late second period, I thought, Rod Brindamore made a switch. Logan Stankoven went to between Hall and Robinson. Jankowski went between Ehlers and Blake. And here's what I was thinking about as they made that move. Rod wanted size on those two lines. Hall and Robinson were awesome together. And I thought Jankowski was pretty good. But Hall and Robinson, to me, were awesome. And he put Stankoven in between them and moved Jankowski with Blake and Ehlers just to get a little bit of size on that line. That line ended up being no good in the third period. Stankoven, Robinson, and Hall were good. I think it was more about the two wingers than it was Stankoven. This is not a knock on him. I just think it was about Hall and Robinson. But because I thought those guys were good all night long. But they made that switch. I don't anticipate them staying, but we talked about it after the game against San Jose. Carolina's probably going to have to figure out a way to get bigger. And bigger down the middle as the season wears on, as we get closer towards the playoffs. So, but Hall and Robinson were very, very good tonight. But again, this is a game that Carolina had to play well, and they needed to get a win for a lot of reasons. One, honestly, when you're playing San Jose and Columbus, I understand they're both bottom of the standings type teams, even though San Jose is sort of like threatening a playoff spot and Columbus isn't that far out of one right now, even with the loss. You couldn't have both of these games back to back and end up a homestand 3-4-0. And again, on this, the last 7 games before tonight, 4 times the Hurricanes had been held to 1 goal or less. Actually, it was 1 goal because they haven't been shut out. But 4 times in the last 7 before tonight, the Hurricanes were held to 1 goal. And tonight, halfway through the game, they had none. And you're thinking, man, they're going to get into one of these ruts where they can't score. And again, they should have had more goals tonight. There were plenty of opportunities to score. But Andre does the heavy lifting. Seth Jarvis gets him even. We get the end of the period. We start the next period. Carolina's still on top of the game. Have to kill a penalty. Do it. And then Joel Nystrom, nice defensive play, gets the puck loose. Taylor Hall takes it from there. Feeds Eric Robinson. Game-winning goal for Robbie. It's a good win for Carolina. So if you think about the things that we loved about tonight, the way Andre played, because he was excellent, especially after the first 20 or so minutes. I thought the blue line recovered. And I think everything had to do with what Andre did, which is why he was my first star. I think he completely flipped the game. Because I thought the first half of the game, man, Keandre Miller was just no good. But I thought, as Trip Tracy likes to say, I thought he built a game, and I thought he was good the rest of the way. I thought Sean Walker was, with very few exceptions, I thought Sean Walker was excellent tonight. Gostisbehere and Chatfield, I know there was somebody who said, well, that defensive pair had allowed a breakaway and an odd man rush. I think that was more about the forwards than it was about them. And I think Gostisbehere and Chatfield both had very strong games because I believe both players played very well. I think Gostisbehere got on the score sheet again tonight, which is Dan's and a Y. But Carolina's blue line played, for the most part, after the first 30 minutes, I thought they were really, really good. And credit to Nystrom for the defensive play that started Hall to Robinson. I thought Alexander Nikishin had his best moments on the second Columbus power play, the second one The first one in the third period, early in the third period. You heard the save on Kent Johnson at the end of that in one of the highlight montages. And from that point on, but Nikishin and Nystrom were good, but from that point on, I thought Carolina really was very, very sound in what they were trying to do. So I'm sure Rod Brindamore feels great. And I'm sure that the guys who won the Stanley Cup in 2006, who were all here tonight and got honored, like they want this team. They are all Hurricanes fans. Every single one of them. I know all those guys. I know how much they bleed Hurricanes red and black. It's the wildest thing. Ray Whitney played for 46 teams in the NHL. So did Doug Weight. Weight, I don't know. Weight might be for the Islanders for all I know. I kid. But these guys, maybe it's because of their connection to the head coach. Or maybe they're just Hurricanes fans at this point. I think it has a lot to do with the head coach. But, you know, these guys wanted this team to perform for them tonight. Took a while, but we got there. Shouts to Andre. Shouts to the captain. Shouts to Brandon Bussey. And I'm starting him in D.C. I'm starting him, and I don't care what that says to the world, that Brandon Bussey is our new number one goalie. But that's who I'm going with. All right? We good? All right, let's get out of here. We're brought to you by the Aluminum Company of North Carolina, if it is for the exterior of your home. You can find it at the Aluminum Company of North Carolina on Hamlin Road in Durham. No place like it. Sammy Hanna's crew do a great job. You should check them out for all of your home exterior improvement needs. That was poor sentence structure right there. But you get it. AluminumCompany.com. Thursday, D.C. Will the Canes ride the bus? Good night.